Welcome everybody to our afternoon session. We're going to be reading from Bhagavad-gita today. Thank all of you for coming. Before I begin, I'd like to offer my respects to my spiritual teachers, Siddha Swarupananda and Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. So, I'd like to begin my programs with a very short meditation we call Sankirtan. If you've tuned in to our previous lectures, you know the story. I'll be playing the guitar and chanting some of our mantras that we chant on a regular basis. And then all of you can join in on the response. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo. Everybody. Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Hare Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribo.
Haribo,
So, as I mentioned, we're going to be reading from the Bhagavad-gita, which is actually the main Vedic text that we study in our Bhakti Yoga process. We have been reading previously from the second chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, so we will continue reading in this second chapter. Today we'll be reading text number 17. And again, the speaker of the Bhagavad-gita is Lord Sri Krishna, speaking to his beloved disciple and dear friend Arjuna. So he's explaining to Arjuna today, know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. So Krishna has established previously that the real identity of each individual is spirit soul, not the material body. And so he's explaining that this spirit soul actually pervades the entire body and is indestructible. I will be reading a lot from the purport today because Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami has explained things so completely and clearly, and he explains all the things that we need to know in Krishna's statement here. But one other important point is no one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. We hear all the time somebody say, I'm going to kill you, or somebody killed somebody, or there's going to be some nuclear disaster and everybody will be destroyed, or so many people died in this situation or that situation or whatever. But actually, Krishna is saying, no one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. The soul is imperishable. It never perishes. It never gets destroyed. It never goes away. And no one can change that. That's an eternal truth. So what actually is seen as somebody was killed, somebody was destroyed, is actually referring to the material body in which the soul resides. So again, let's read from the purport by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and the pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. The spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The spreading of consciousness is unknown to another. The pains and the pleasures of one's body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptoms of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. Now, certainly we know, we're conscious of every single part of our body. You can take a pin and stick it in the most remote part of your body, say the tip of the little toe, and you feel it immediately. Wow. You pull one hair in your head, ow, see, because there's consciousness everywhere, see, and this is the presence of the soul being spread. This awareness, this consciousness is spread all over the body. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. We have read, or it is stated here in Bhagavad-gita, that the soul is immeasurable. And then we're reading here that it has a size. And so sometimes people are confused. Well, wait a minute, I just heard that you can't measure the soul, it's immeasurable. And now you're telling me it's 1/10,000th the size of the point of the tip of a hair. But the idea is we cannot measure the soul. All we can do is accept the size of the soul. We can't get out our rulers. We can't get out our microscopes. We can't get our measuring instruments of any type and measure the soul. But we can receive this absolute knowledge as to the size of the soul. So here is stated that in the Sesvashvatara Upanishad, it is confirmed, quote, when the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. So let's just take a visual, practical look at this example. You take one hair from your head. Okay, now you have this hair, right? And then somehow, with a very sharp knife, you divide this hair into 100 parts. Look up. Oh, this part, the example. Okay, my camera lady says I'm hiding the example. So here we go, up here. We take one hair from the head. Now we have this one hair, and we divide this hair, very sharp knife included, in 100 parts, okay? Then we take one of those parts, and we throw the rest away. Now we have this one part. We divide this part into 100 pieces, throw the 99 away, and keep one of those. Then we turn that tiny little piece of hair on its edge and look at the point, and that's how big we are. So the next time you feel so proud, so big, look at me, I'm some big guy. Yeah, I see. You know, you're very big. That's how big the soul is. It's described as atomic inside. Let's read further. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. And this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. See? So, this is the size of the soul, minute. See? Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms. And such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body. And the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. So this again is the consciousness coming from this atomic, minute particle of spirit. This consciousness pervades the entire body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. If the soul is in the body, consciousness will be there. If the soul is absent from the body, there will be no consciousness. See? So you can take a dead body and you will never find consciousness because the consciousness has left, because the consciousness is symptomatic of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. And again, sometimes, not sometimes, many times, you know, the scientists and the materialists like to have us believe that consciousness is a creation of matter. Somehow from matter came consciousness. But no, this is absolutely not correct. Consciousness is coming from the soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Quote, the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. The atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. It is situated within the heart, and it spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.9. So, many interesting points here. Number 1, the soul is located within the heart. Within the body, the soul resides, and the place of residence within the body is the heart. And this is why we feel all these deep emotions. See, where do we feel love? In the heart. What is the universal symbol for love? The heart. Because that is where the soul resides. When somebody that we love dearly leaves us, what do we say? They broke my heart. Why? Because I am experiencing the loss of my loved one, and the place where I feel this is in my heart. So that's why we say, oh, I am suffering from a broken heart. See? If you operated on this person and examined their heart, it wouldn't be broken. It's all there. But, of course, we know. What we're missing is the loving relationship that has somehow been taken away from us. So this is a very interesting point. The soul is present in the heart, but spreads its influence all over the body. That will be explained a little further. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for the liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So again, from the Mundaka Upanishads, it was explaining that the soul is floating in these 5 kinds of air. And in the Hatha Yoga system or Kundalini system, mystic system of yoga, you know, the yogis are controlling these airs in various ways so that they can, have longevity of life, for instance. They can remove this contamination and so on. This is a mechanical process of yoga that makes this possible. And it is for the liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. In other words, some people like to teach us, incorrectly, that we are spread everywhere. But everybody knows I'm only spread within my own body. I cannot feel the pain of another person. See, if you're sitting there and you have a headache, I don't feel that headache. See, or if I'm sitting here and I have a headache, you don't feel my headache. So our consciousness is confined within our individual body. So these people who say we're spread all over, this is incorrect. See? The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientist, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart, along with the super soul. and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles, which carry the oxygen from the lungs, gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. So the blood comes back to the lungs, and the carbon dioxide is given off, and it picks up oxygen, but then it goes to the heart, and this is where it picks up the energy from the soul, and then it continues on its journey throughout the body, nourishing the cells, and so on and so on. The soul leaves the heart, leaves the body, and none of this works. So this is the true understanding of how things work within the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha, or superior energy. Neither Vedic knowledge nor modern science denies the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad-gita by the personality of Godhead himself. So there is so much knowledge available about the soul, about who we are. We are spirit soul. And all we have to do is accept it. It's not a subject for experimentation. That's why the scientists are so confused on this subject. And because they can't see the soul, it's beyond their perception. See, they will foolishly conclude there is no soul. See, there is no such thing as soul. So the way to gain knowledge, the way to remove the ignorance from our life and come into the light of knowledge is by accepting the absolute truth as it descends from the Supreme Lord himself. Bhagavad-gita, Sheshvashvatara Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad. These great Vedic literatures bring this knowledge to us. See? So this is how one can become truly wise, see? Truly in the light of knowledge. Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll end our little session with one more Sankirtan. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hare Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hare Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Hare Bol. Everybody. Hare Bol. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo,
Hare Bo,
Hare Bo,
Hare Bo,
Hare Bo.
Hare Bo.
Haribo. All right, thank you very much. Namaste. See you next time.